our good friend, House of Delegates member from Southwest Virginia, a leader on the big issues, Terry Kilgore. Delegate Kilgore, great to have you with us.
Hey, good morning, John. Congratulations to your son on the pitching performance.
It's
great.
just it's just one game. It was a scrimmage, but you can't really get better than that. But he hits the first batter. He's done it 3 out of the last 5 times on the first pitch. So he's like,
hey, that can help in politics too.
a little
That's a
as
good strategy.
A little as they say, chin music, as they say, get him off the plate. He says he doesn't like the right-handers leaning into him, so he says, I'll back him right out of there with an 82-mile-an-hour fastball and go from there. So, Delegate, lots to talk about today. What's going on with this Reggie thing? We talked about this earlier. It's really driving me bananas because it's the regional gas house?
Regional greenhouse gas initiative. In other words, what it is, John, it's a cap and trade scheme that is set up. And what the governor has done by executive order, Democrats like executive orders when it helps them, but don't like executive orders when our folks use it. And it's set up with an executive order where we join with northern states, very northern states, Massachusetts and other states who have a lot costlier energy than we do. And it's going to end up costing our consumers a lot of money. Like in Dominion's, just in Dominion's, I asked the State Corporation Commission to look at it. In Dominion's service area alone, it's going to cost anywhere between $3.3 billion to $5.3 billion over a 10-year period. You could build 2 to 3, maybe 4, probably at least 3 facilities, power facilities on that cost. It's just a crazy cost that our ratepayers are going to have to bear.
I mean, where do they come up with these schemes? I mean, where do they concoct these?
Well, what they're saying is we got to reduce CO2, and I'm all about that. And there's a responsible way to do that. We've worked on renewables. I'm one of the all the above guys. I'm for all types of energy: solar, wind, coal, gas, you name it, hydroelectric. I'm for it, nuclear, but, we got to do this responsible. We can't say that it has to be all wind, all solar, because as you and I both know, the sun doesn't shine all the time and the wind doesn't blow all the time. So you have to have backups, and right now it's still more costly to do those type of energy than it is with our cheap gas or some of our cheap coal plants that are running. They're running great right now. We got one of the cleanest coal plants in the world in Southwest Virginia.
Right.
And so, we can't, what the governor's doing is just really putting the cost on the consumers. But now, as you know, John, we've got budget language in that says that that if he to try to prohibit him from doing this, so we'll see how that stands up.
Well, in your legislation, you've got that in order to do this, you're going to need 2/3 approval from both houses. He doesn't have that in either house, but he's just going to go forward. Look, you know what? He is so desperate to get the news off of blackface and cotton balls and Pam and everything else, all the other malarkey going on in there. We call him Governor Tunnels because in order to get in and out of the mansion in Richmond, he's got to go through a tunnel. He's afraid to be seen in public. The whole thing. Look, the guy's a disaster, and this is just another ploy in order to get him some positive press with Blue Virginia or the Washington Post or other liberal media and get him off the blackface page. We're with House of Delegates member Terry Kilgore, part of the leadership team from Southwest Virginia. Following me, WJFN 100.5 FM, the Fighting Joe Morrissey Show coming up. Don't want to miss that, especially today. Joe has Lauren Burke will be joining Joe today at 11:05. She is the spokesperson for embattled Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax, and she'll be with Joe today at 11:05. the lieutenant governor finally breaking his silence in the media. We'll see what Lauren has to say. I got a text here I got to read you, Delegate. This is from Joe Morrissey. He says, "Hi, Terry. I say hello, and I want to know if you're still working out." Joe Morrissey.
I tell Joe I'm still working out. I used to see him at the gym all the time, and I'm still working out. And great that he's great to hear from him, and good luck on his show. And hopefully he'll get a lot of answers for the public today.
He also says, tell him Justin Fairfax House Inquisition won't be productive unless Joe Morrissey is doing the cross-examination of the women. So therefore, you've got a volunteer to do your cross-examination. I want to talk about this, Delegate Kilgore, a second. I know that we've railed on it for weeks, but the fact that Eileen Fillercorn and the Democrats have bailed out on Kirk Cox's offer to make them part of the hearing to get these women the opportunity to be heard, which is what they said they want, and also to give the lieutenant governor his opportunity for due process, bring his own witnesses. Well, why did the Democrats bail out on this? I thought they were for women getting an opportunity to get out their story.
I think it's. I think Speaker Cox set up a due process opportunity for both the women and the lieutenant governor, where both could get their story out. And I don't want to prejudge anything. So I think it's a good opportunity for the public to hear both sides and to make judgments, to make their case accordingly. So I thought Speaker Cox laid it out. There's, the lawyers for the women had asked for some hearing, some type of hearing. So, I think Speaker Cox did what he thought was best in this particular circumstance.
So what happens now?
I think there's. I think it has to move forward. I think Rob Bell, Chairman Bell of the Courts Committee, will proceed accordingly. And who knows when this will end? But it looks like it would be to everybody's benefit just to bring this to a point where decisions can be made.
So, Delegate Terry Kilgore, right now the Democrats are not participating.
Right.
So, of course, that could change. But right now, this is only Republicans. Is this going to be in Rob Bell's chairman in Courts and Justice, or is it going to be open up to the entire General Assembly? How will this work?
I would assume it would be the Courts of Justice committee or a special committee, select committee that Speaker Cox and Rob Bell appoints. You want to be fair. You want to hear both sides, and you want to give everyone an opportunity to present their case. But, I think it's something that, the public has a need to know. I think it's something that we as legislators need to address and need to have this opportunity for people to have a hearing. So, I hope that both sides will come together and decide that it's best for the Commonwealth to participate.
So, Delegate Terry Kilgore, if the Democrats do not participate, and so far they said they're not going to do it, then what is the difference between this and the Kavanaugh hearings? What am I missing here, sir?
Well, I don't think you're missing anything, but here we have credible, what most folks would classify as credible allegations against a lieutenant governor, and they're asking for an opportunity to be heard. How do you not hear from these women? How do you not offer the lieutenant governor the opportunity to be heard. I think you just have to do that.
And that's what they've asked for, right? I mean,
right.
At least they said, look, we don't want to press charges. We just want to get in front of the General Assembly, get in front of the members, and be heard. We want our voices to be heard and our story to be told. And then, of course, Justin Fairfax, the lieutenant governor, gets his opportunity to cross-examine them and to bring his evidence and to defend himself. That's what due process is. I mean, this is exactly what the Democrats did with Kavanaugh. So for the life of me, I just don't get the flip-flop on this. Like, I guess if it's a Republican, you can have the hearings by the accused, by the accusers.
I don't know.
If it's a Democrat, you don't. I don't get it.
Yeah. I don't get it either.
And then they've all called on, and then Terry, they've all called on him to resign. So it's like they want him to resign, no due process. They don't want to give him a chance to defend himself. They don't want to hear the women. It's like they just want him to go away so they can go on with their election. I mean, I don't know how to spin this for them, but I'm just as a commentator, as a radio talk show host, that's what I see. Politics. It doesn't suit them politically right now to have the women testify and have their voices heard. Although that's what they've been saying for months you have to do. But it doesn't suit Eileen Filler-Corn politically. Therefore, they don't want it.
I think there's some good folks on the other side who, I think, will participate and will, once this moves forward and once, they'll reach an agreement on how to move forward, I think. And, it's a process, and we just have to go through a process.
Well, always the optimist, but they have called on him to resign.
Always being optimistic, right.
I know. Well, I'm now predicting you are going to hold the House. I didn't think you were, but now I think even with the redistricting, you're going to pick up 5-6 seats. That's what I'm estimating now. Hey, I want to get to this redistricting plan that passed the House and the Senate in almost unanimous fashion in the Senate. And if it passes again in 2020, it'll go on the ballot as a constitutional amendment, and it will end gerrymandering by both parties as we know it. What did you think of that, Bill?
Oh, I mean, I think it's a good way to address the issue. I mean, really, if you look at there's no bipartisan redistricting commission. You can say whatever you want to, but there's no way under some of the bills that were put forward by different parties, there's always going to be some partisanship in drawing lines. And what Chairman Cole did with this particular piece of legislation, he gives both sides opportunities. He gives Republicans and Democrats opportunities to have seats at the table and to come up with agreements on it to where one side's not trying to get the other side's not, and the way it works. But it still is a legislative process, so it's still under our Constitution has to come back to the legislature so that we can put our stamp of approval on it.
Well, the way it works, too, is that once it comes back and you do stamp it, it really, you've got, the way he set it up, or this bill is, you get, everything is bipartisan, equal Republicans, equal Democrats, equal number of citizens, and then I think you have to get 65 or 70% of each of those groups to back it.
Right.
So you're just looking for a fair process, and I think you guys are there.
Yeah, it's a very fair process, and for those who have said they want a fair process, I think this is it. And I think this is something that both sides should embrace and move forward.
All right, I got 2 minutes. Final question, and we're with Southwest House of Delegates member Terry Kilgore. He's also part of the Kirk Cox leadership team. Terry, let's get to the veto session on April. Is it 2nd or 3rd? When is it? What
3rd.
Day? April 3rd. By the way, we'll be live in Tim Hugo's office. Yay. Tim Hugo invited us in. The state Senate kicked us out. But Speaker Cox and Tim Hugo. By the way, Joe, if you're listening to me, you're still banned from the Senate leadership.
Oh, my God.
From the caucus. Can't even say this with a straight face. Joe, the Republican caucus leadership has banned you from doing your show in their office. Too bad. But, Joe, someday we'll get you back. Anyway, I'll be live in Tim Hugo's office on Veto Day, April 3rd. Any fireworks there? Anything you think, any vetoes you might override?
Nah, I don't see many fireworks coming. We did a lot of, we have a lot of bills that we worked on a bipartisan basis this year. And, while all this was going on, we kept our head down, John, and we did our job. And, gave tax relief and worked on, cleaning up coal ash, worked on keeping college tuition cheaper. So, we did a lot of good work. I mean, there may be some budget issues that we're going to have to address, but all in all, I think it'll be pretty non-eventful.
All right. We're looking forward to it. A great Republican leadership session in the 2019 General Assembly. They got a lot done. Also want to compliment you, Terry Kilgore, for leading the fight for telemed, which basically gives you the opportunity to choose a doctor over Skype or over a video platform in a legitimate way, brings down costs, especially people that can't get to doctors in some of the other areas they're in. And a fabulous job on that.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you for doing that. All right, John Fredericks Radio Network running out of time. Want to thank Delegate Terry Kilgore, Southwest Virginia, for being with us.